Have you ever wondered if a simple daily spiritual practice could truly change your fate? Can the repeated recitation of an ancient scripture shift your relationships, lift your emotions, and open paths you never thought possible? For centuries, practitioners across Asia have turned to one particular text, the Reciting Sutra, as the Reciting or Ba-Supra, as a source of immense spiritual power, often described as the Sutra of filial piety, liberation from suffering, and karmic transformation. This sacred scripture is said to hold the key to unbinding the knots of destiny. But is it true? Can merely chanting words written over 1,000 years ago genuinely change your present life? Today, I'm going to share with you a journey not just of chanting, but of transformation. Not just of faith, but of undeniable inner and outer change. It begins with a woman named Lifu. You was not particularly religious, school administrator in her 40s, married with 2 children. She considered herself as spiritual but not devout. Her life looked stable from the outside, but inside, she felt increasingly trapped. Relationship with her husband was cold. Her teenage daughter barely spoke to her, and at work, she was constantly overwhelmed. One day, after a particularly difficult argument with your daughter, Lifu broke down. In her despair, she remembered something her grandmother once said: "When you don't know where to go, recite the Reciting Sutra. You will hear you." With nothing to lose, she looked it up online. She found a full version without teeth, and began to play it softly while cleaning the house. First, it was just background noise, but the sounds felt strangely comforting. At night, for the first time in weeks, she slept deeply. The next morning, she decided to try something. She would commit to reciting the Reciting Sutra every day for 9 days. Not perfectly, not as a ritual, just as an offering. Promise to her own heart that you would show up. The first few days were difficult. Her mind wandered, like Sart, Odysseus. But something kept her going. After the first week, she noticed something's more. Temper softened. Instead of snapping at her daughter, she paused. Instead of arguing with her husband, he chose silence. She began noticing how often our pain came from reactivity, not reality. At week 2, her daughter surprised her by asking, "What's that music you're always playing? It's kind of calming." They talked, outline, but without shouting. It was the first peaceful exchange in months. At week 4, our husband invited her to dinner. He said, "You seem different lately." I let her. But here's the important part. Nothing in her external life had changed. The bills were still there. Her job was still demanding. Her daughter still had her moods. But something inside her had shifted. The chanting had opened a space, a secret space of stillness, reflection, and surrender. And in that space, something even more powerful emerged: forgiveness. She began to cry during our recitations, not from sadness, but from the release of years of resentment and toward her parents, our husband, even herself. She realized how tightly she had been gripping her roles: a perfect mother, a good wife, a strong employee, and how that grip had blocked the flow of compassion. At day 49, she wasn't just calmer, she was radiant. Her colleagues noticed. Her daughter began asking to join her in short meditations. Her husband became more affectionate. At the real miracle, he no longer needed anything to change. She had found peace, not through fixing her life, but through transforming our perception. And it all began with reciting the Reciting Sutra. Now, let's explore why this sutra has such a powerful effect. First, understand that the Reciting Buddha is known as the guardian of the underworld, a vow-maker who promises not to enter Buddhism until all hell beings are freed. His compassion is vast, his patience infinite, his vows uncheckable. Recite this sutra is to enter into resonance with that vow. It is to invite those qualities: endurance, humility, mercy into your own mind stream. And whether or not you believe in other realms, the tales of the sutra speaks of also exist in our daily life. a hell of anxiety, a hell of shame, a hell of anger, a hell of loneliness. When we chant the sutra, we are not only helping other beings, we are healing the trapped parts of ourselves. Each passage speaks to the core human struggles: grief over lost loved ones, guilt over past mistakes, fear of judgment, longing for connection. And the vibration of the words, recited sincerely, robotically, can begin to purify the subconscious. Scientific studies on mantras and sacred sound confirm this. Chanting regulates breathing, calms the nervous system, and rewires neural pathways. But beyond science, there is spirit. To chant is to return. Return to simplicity. Return to sincerity. Return to the root of being. Let's look at a few core teachings within the Restore Sutra that directly relate to our modern struggles. The importance of intention. The sutra emphasizes that even a single offering done with genuine compassion can create immense merit in our lives. This means that the heart behind our actions matters more than the size of the gesture. The impermanence of pain. Much of the text describes beings trapped in suffering due to past ignorance. But again and again, liberation is possible. The message: no matter how dark your past, light is always one sincere vow away. The power of remembrance. Reciting names, remembering vows, and honoring ancestors is not superstition, it is energetic alignment. When we remember who we are and where we come from, we unlock support from realms beyond the visible. A necessity of persistence. The sutra repeats stories of long-term practice yielding transformation. This reminds us, awakening isn't instant, but it is inevitable if we stay the course. Religious story, and thousands like hers, we see that the power of reciting the Restore Sutra isn't in the words alone. It's in the return, the stillness, the sincerity, the surrender. You don't need to believe in everything. You don't need to be perfect. All you need is to show up with an open heart and a willingness to be changed. So whether your life feels like it's flowing or falling apart, consider this. What might happen if, for the next 49 days, you gave yourself the gift of one recitation each morning? Not as a chore, not as a ceremony, not as a superstition, but as a sacred meeting with your deeper self. And what if, through those moments, you rediscovered something forgotten? Peace beyond explanation, clarity beyond logic, love that doesn't need a reason. If you feel moved by this story and the teachings of the Restore Sutra, share your thoughts below. Us if you've tried reciting it, or if you're beginning today. Like, subscribe, and join us as we walk together not in search of perfection, but in the practice of remembrance. Because your destiny is not fixed. It is waiting for your voice to rise and your heart to open.